Welcome everyone to this Introduction to the StartUp Virginia Certification Program webinar held by the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the Minority Small Business Launch Center. My name is Dr. Patrice Perry Rivers, and I am the director of the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the principal investigator for the Minority Small Business Launch Center program. Our program is a Go Virginia funded program that is intended to help spur economic development in the Richmond metropolitan statistical area. And we are thrilled about your participation today. We are also thrilled to have with us Mr. Richard Wintsch, who is the executive director of StartUp Virginia, who is here to explain information or to give you information about his program and explain how you can access it. Probably also tell you a little bit about his organization. Before I have Mr. Wintsch start, for those of you who are new to the Minority Small Business Launch Center program, I have a very brief video that I would like to share with you. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn over this event to Mr. Richard Wintsch.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Perry Rivers. I really appreciate our partnership and everything that you're doing to move entrepreneurship forward. It's really, it's an important part of growing an entrepreneurial ecosystem is funneling pipeline of entrepreneurs into it. I think everything that we're working on together to do that is awesome. So I appreciate you taking time out today to feature StartUp Virginia and our Entrepreneur Certificate course. With that, welcome. Nice to meet you all. My name is Richard. I'm the Executive Director of StartUp Virginia. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that supports startups and an engaged community. Here at the 1717 Innovation Center, we have dynamic resources, a great workspace, as you can see behind me. Well, it's hard to see through it, but you can a little bit tell the vibe. And our primary goal is to help aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs in fulfilling their potential and also moving Virginia forwards, Virginia's economic landscape forward. We're, as I said, a 501c3 nonprofit, about a $900,000 budget. And just to give you a little bit of history and how we started, we were launched in 2016 by 3 local entrepreneurs, Brad, Will, Brian, and they managed a local angel group and got to know our entrepreneurs really well in the Richmond region. And they did a survey, and one thing that came out of that survey in 2016 was like, wouldn't it be cool to have a workspace that we could work in together and leverage each other and help move the entrepreneurship scene forward. So with that, Brad and Will went on a mission to find a place to do that in, and they stumbled across the 1717 Innovation Center, which is on 1717 East Carey Street, right in the heart of Choco Bottom, right next to Bottoms Up Pizza, for any of you who have been there. And if none of you have been here, would love to welcome you. Come here, work for a day, come and check it out. It really is an amazing space. So they bought the building with the objective of having an incubator on the first floor and leasing out the other spaces. And as they were having conversations with organizations regarding those leases, they stumbled across Capital One. And Capital One expressed interest in leasing the space, but eventually they came back, hey, we love what you're doing. It really goes well with our future EDGE initiative to move small businesses forward. Why don't we buy the building off you, deck it out, and you can rent it from us? And that's exactly what's happened. So we're now in a state-of-the-art innovation center, 1717 Innovation Center. We have about 30,000 square feet here. StartUp Virginia occupies around 15,000 of that. And our ultimate goal is just to create an amazing community of entrepreneurs, of aspiring entrepreneurs, of freelancers, anyone who wants to move the entrepreneurship community forward in our entire region, not only the Richmond region. That's why we're called StartUp Virginia. And with that, we moved here with about 35 companies. Now we have 96 members, of which have over 245 mentors, have 30 corporate partners, and also 40 investors that invest in Virginia-based companies. So our ultimate goal is to grow that community, and we've done that over the last 3-4 years. We offer 2 types of membership. We have our Incubator membership, which is for high growth startups with a scalable product. So for us, high growth is someone who has a product or service or business that can appeal to serve a large market. Also, we ask that they have presence in Virginia and that it's at a company in the early stages. We have over 80 of those members. And then the other remaining 16, 17 members are what we call our community members. So they can have access to our co-working space, our programming, that we do socials, breakfast clubs, etc. And that's for innovatively minded entrepreneurs, freelancers, creators, really anyone who wants to help entrepreneurs and move our ecosystem forward while having access to awesome space. So, with that, that's a quick overview of who we are. And we're really proud of what we've done over the last 3-4 years, and we're really proud of having partnerships like this one to move our entrepreneurship thing forward. Before I move on, since it's a pretty small group, anyone have any questions regarding StartUp Virginia specifically? All right, well, I'll move forward. So with that, programming is obviously instrumental in creating a strong economic landscape and providing services for entrepreneurs. In 2021, we did about 120 programs at StartUp Virginia, had over 1,500 attendees. And with that, we also offered about $160,000 worth of scholarships to programs like the Entrepreneur Certificate and the Idea Factory. Today, I'm going to focus on one program specifically, but I did also want to let you know of another program called the Idea Factory, which we also provide scholarships for. And the objective of the Idea Factory is really to feed the pipeline of entrepreneurs in our region. The Idea Factory is a fast-paced 6-week virtual program where you'll learn how to test, improve, and validate your business idea. We're currently launching our 4th or 5th cohort. I always have to remind myself which one, but we actually launched it this week. We've got 7 aspiring entrepreneurs in that, and we'll be doing another one in the fall. So please make sure you keep an eye out for that. Dr. Perry Rivers will be sure to forward along that information for that. So if any of you are working on an idea and want to validate it, this would be an awesome program to attend. So keep that in mind when we start accepting applications this summer. All right, moving into the meat of today's presentation, we're going to cover the Entrepreneur Certificate course. So a little bit of history on the course. So one of the first things we did, we launched our programming in March 2018. One of the first things that we realized when we were looking at programming in our region was that there was an opportunity for Entrepreneurship 101 classes. And so we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we leveraged our mentor network to do those classes? and make it free to the entire community. So we launched it in 2018 at the pre-pandemic. It was a free breakfast. It was on Tuesday morning, and we did 8 or 9 in a row. We started off with 8, but now it's 9 in a row. And if you attended all of them, you got your entrepreneur certificate. It was really well attended, between 50 and 70 participants every single time. We normally ended up giving about between 15 and 20 certificates at the end of each course. And we had done 4, all, like I said, well attended. And then obviously the pandemic hit. So we were like, so what should we do with this course? And just so you know, the course is a 9-class series designed to equip you with the knowledge and tools needed to start or grow your business. It's very high level, but it's with industry experts, and we created the curriculum closely with entrepreneurs themselves to make sure it's relevant. And what I really like about it is that because it's done more through industry experts and subject matter experts, it's a bit less academic than most things that you'll find online. And I believe very helpful. So with that, the pandemic hit, and we were like, well, how can we continue to leverage the momentum of this? And we decided to professionally curate all of it and put it into Teachable. And this has allowed us to scale the program throughout Virginia and provide it for free to organizations like the Virginia State University Minority and Small Business Launch Center. So with that, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to give you a quick 3.5 minute video that tells you a little bit about the course. So hold on one second. And if for some reason none of this works, you guys let me know. Dr. Perry, can everyone see it, or can everyone just give me a thumbs up? Elliot, can you see this?
Yes, I can see it. Looks great.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Erica Babcock, Marketing and Operations Manager with StartUp Virginia, and I'm excited to give you a brief demo of our Entrepreneur Certificate course hosted on Teachable. The first thing you'll see here is our sales page. So we have the name and a brief description about the course, a welcome video featuring our Executive Director, Richard Wintsch, who gives an overview of the full course, an outline of the curriculum so that prospective students can see the content and also watch a preview video for each class. Here we have our pricing options. So $395 for the full course, which can be split up into 2 payments. And
important to know here, I'm just going to pause it, that because of the relationship we have Dr. Perry Rivers and our donors, this will actually be free to anyone who wants to attend. So you just have to reach out to Dr. Perry Rivers and she'll give you a code to attend it.
Of course, we don't want cost to be a barrier to anyone who wants to take the class. And so if they complete the scholarship application right here, they can request additional financial assistance. Now, in addition to purchasing the full course bundle, there's also the option to purchase each of the classes individually. When a student is enrolled in the course, here's what they'll see. On the far left, there's a tracker, which will track how much of the course the student has completed. And on the far right, you'll see that the student can scroll down and preview the upcoming lessons in the course. With each class, there's a welcome video featuring the instructor of the course, who will give them a preview of what they'll learn. To make the course more accessible, we also added the option to turn on closed captioning. Let's have a listen.
Hi, welcome to StartUp Virginia's Entrepreneur Certificate course. My name is Ace Callwood. I'm a founder, a speaker, and an educator. And today, we'll be talking about how to define your startup idea. Today's objectives are severalfold. First, we'll define entrepreneurship. Next, we'll talk about validating your idea. From there, we'll explore different business models, and we'll tie it all together with an exploration of the business model canvas. It's a tool that helps you define your idea and gives you the foundation of what startup or company you might build into the future. Let's get started.
At the end of each welcome video, there's also a brief bio for the instructor in case the student wants to learn more. The majority of our course content is slideshow based, which means you hear the voice of the instructors delivering their class's content, but watching their visual slides. Here's an example of a lesson from class 4, Create Your Marketing Strategy.
All right, so now that we know who our customers are, let's understand their journey. This is a comical look at how someone might think about purchasing a new dishwasher. And they're moving from one thing to another. They're on their computer. They might be picking up the phone to talk to someone. They might be waiting for customer service to get back to them. They may be getting ads served to them. They may be talking to somebody in a store. There's all kinds of pathways that are curvy and windy to get to a decision of how do I get these dishes clean? How do I get the products I need into my hands? And so when we put marketing in front of people, we have to understand that they are not on a linear journey. They are on a very curvy, windy journey to learn about options that they have in front of them.
Once the student has completed 100% of the Entrepreneur Certificate course, they'll receive their Certificate of Entrepreneurship, as you can see here. Each certificate has its own unique number, and the student will be able to download and print a copy of their certificate.
All right, so that gives you a glimpse of what it looks like in the actual system itself. Now, important to note that the system that you'll see yourself, that Virginia State University will actually look different. Let me give you a good example of what it will look like, because it has been white labeled. But so this is it. Oh, I have not shared my screen, have I? 1 second. Yes, I have. Here you'll see an example of the Virginia State's course network, and it's all right here. As you can see, you can email Dr. Perry Rivers to get the code so that you can do this for free. And then this is what it looks like. So with that, I'm going to quickly take a minute and then also go through each individual course, just so you can get a high level viewpoint on what it looks like. So this, as I said, there's nine courses themselves. The first one is define your idea. The first 3 are really designed for those for aspiring entrepreneurs really who are trying to like refine their idea or at least validate it. But honestly, if you have a current small business, it's still very helpful to keep on going through these exercises, because you might find ways to tweak or pivot your company and find new customers. So the first one is define your idea. It's pretty high level. How do you validate it? Different types of business model, and an introduction to the business model canvas. It then leads into your value proposition, which the business model canvas helps. And it leads you in front of the customer discovery process. And you'll really dive into how to create your value proposition. And ACE will provide some specific examples on how to do that. You'll then review them and then see how you can get some customer insights. And the third one, which is also taught by ACE, we thought it was really important to have the same instructor for the first 3, because they really are one larger course that's really important as you start diving into this. And then the last one is really diving into who your customers are and what is your target market strategy and your go-to market strategy. You also learn how to discover your customer segments and different ways to acquire them, and then come up with hopefully, what is a minimal viable product, or what we like to call a minimal viable experiment, so that it doesn't cost you too much money. Now, if this is the phase that you're in and you anticipate staying in this phase for a while, then the Idea Factory could really be an interesting program for you, because it basically takes these first 3 ones and really dives into it in a lot more deeper level, with a lot of customer surveys and different ways that you can come up with that minimal viable experiment. The last one, the fourth one, which is also, I think, ties nicely into this, because it helps take your idea into how to create a marketing strategies, taught by Kendall. She is awesome, a marketing expert and a mentor of ours. And it just teaches you how to establish clear objectives, and again, diving down more into your customer and the customer journey. Also touches on the digital ecosystem, the different ways that you can leverage digital media, and how to a little bit about branding as well. And obviously with all marketing, measuring that success is really important. So Kendall also touches on that. Then lastly, obviously, one of the most important things as a small business is how do you create a sales playbook? This will go over different types of sales goals, understanding the sales landscape, and then explore different types of sales. This is taught by April, who has experience leading sales teams in larger corporations, but also scaling a startup sales team as well. So she was really well prepared and has good strategies on how to create for that, especially on the prepping side for success and some of the skills, and then just building a process. And then we dive a little bit into the nitty gritty. So this is more like once you started making money, but also really high level, understanding the startup finance, the different type of financials that you can look into. This is taught by Eric Glimpf, who does a lot of CPA work and just accounting work for several of our startups, and is a great mentor. Also talks about forecasting, budgeting, and presenting your financials, and taxes, which we all know fondly about, especially this type of year. Then obviously legal is very important. What type of business entity do you need to be? Is it a simple LLC? Do you need to look at a C Corp? Are you going to fundraise or not? These are all important questions for you to discover as you start your business. And understanding the difference between mentors, advisors, consultants, and the impact that they can have on your company, making sure that you don't give any of your company away that you shouldn't, and understand what is needed for contract or IP work. This is all work that incubators like us and the Entrepreneur Center at VSU help our founders with. This is really, really important. If you get to a point with that, then I definitely encourage folks to reach out to resources beyond just this class. And then obviously everyone talks about, oh, I got this great idea, I've validated it, I feel really ready to launch it. I've got some money already from customers, but in order to scale it, I need a bit more. So Liz Dorr does a great job in just letting you guys know the different types of way you can raise money, from typical bank loans to trying to get venture capital money or money from angel investors. This is a really nice way just to get a really high level of that. And then lastly, John Polk has a very specific method for you to create a pitch deck, which I highly encourage for anyone who's thinking about launching a pitch deck. He believes strongly in creating sentence titles and at the top of each slide, and then those sentence titles eventually end up being an executive summary. So it forces you to create a purposeful and impactful pitch deck that makes sense for the people you're pitching it to, but more importantly, also those that you're sending it over email. We see a lot of pitch decks that just have fancy images and stuff, but when you see it over email, it's really hard to understand the story and the impact that this can have, especially if you're looking for investors to invest in that. So that's also a great presentation. Now, if any of you wanted to have just do one of these courses, that is option, but to get the certificate, you need to go through all 9 of them. So that is a quick overview of the course in general. Let's stop my share. I think I covered that in the amount of time that Dr. Perry Rivers wanted me to. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's only 8.5 hours to complete. So it's not a quick time barrier. You can do it at your own pace. There is some quizzes at the end of each course, but it does not stop you from progressing. It's more just it's a nice refresher. And, in closing, I just would really like to thank Dr. Perry Rivers and her team for partnering with us on this. And I hope many of you are able to take the course and down the road that we can continue to help you with your entrepreneurial startup journey. Any questions?
Thank you.
Come on, it's just one question. If we were in person, I would make someone talk, but I can't do that remotely.
I wanted to, someone indicated that they had one question, and I'm looking for you to unmute your mic if you don't mind. You could also raise your hand in Zoom. There's a function that you can access that will allow you to raise your hand. It should be in your menu at the very bottom. And then that way I can see better who would like to speak. No one want to raise their hand?
I have a question.
Sure, Ms. Mason.
Do you have any tips for marketing for a startup business? Because personally, I have a really hard time just staying consistent with marketing and just finding my niche.
Sure. I mean, I'm not a marketing expert, but that's exactly right. Right? You could ask for just the code for the marketing one and spend an hour to learn from Kendall, and she can give you some strategies. She also goes through different types of digital marketing that you can do. So I would recommend that as a great first step. It's like an hour and 15 minutes long.
Okay.
And rather than me trying to pretend to be a marketing expert, I think that could be worth your time, because she really does dive into digital media and different types of in-person marketing as well. So hopefully that could be really helpful to you.
Okay.
And Dr. Perry Rivers, if you need codes, just send that to me and Laura, and we can get you that as well.
Sure, I will do that. And one thing that I will do is I'll send out in chat a link to some marketing resources that we have on our VSU Center for Entrepreneurship tools page that could help you, Ms. Mason, and perhaps some of the other enrollees who are here. I do see that we have some other questions. So Ms. Tina Pershing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hey, everyone. So as you were going over that program, I thought that I had already signed up for it and was already on track with it, but your screen and what you showed for the program looks different from mine. What I was directed to was something I believe through Canvas. It's like a K-12.structure website. So is that the right one, or is that a different one that I need to log into?
So if it's okay with you, Richard, I'll take that question.
Yeah. Because I haven't created another one. So the one I have is the one you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly share my screen so that you guys who are here will be able to see the two different certification programs that you guys have access to. So if you go to the Minority Small Business Launch Center site, can you guys see my screen? I'd just like to make sure you can. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, good. So then if you click over here, or if you highlight certification training, two will come up. There's the VSU Small Business Launch Certificate, and then there's the Startup Virginia Online Certificate. And so what you're referring to is the VSU Small Business Certificate. So you probably went to the Pro Small Business Launch Certificate, and then you enrolled here, and it's going to take you to a learning management system that is very similar to Blackboard that you'll use in a college or a K-12 or an education setting. And so that's what you're in. But what Mr. Wintsch is talking about today is the other certification program that you can access, which is the Startup Virginia Online Certificate Training Program. And it's going to take you to this landing page. And my suggestion to you guys is, since both of these resources are free and available to you as enrollees in this program, is I would take advantage of both. What Mr. Wintsch has talked to you about today is a wonderful program that normally costs you $400, and you can access it from the site, but it is different than the other one that you have access. You've accessed the Pro Small Business Launch Certificate here. And then what he is referring to is the Startup Virginia certificate that you can access here. Does that clear it up for you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then I see there's a great question from Addison. What advice or routes would you recommend an entrepreneur take when going about seeking funding or startup costs for their business? If Addison wouldn't mind, would you mind just give me 1 minute on what type of business you're working on?
Yes, hi, good morning. My name is Addison Adams. I'm a senior marketing major in the Reginald F. Lewis College of Business, and more tailored towards mental health and telemedicine. Okay.
So my advice to you at the beginning is to do a lot of customer discovery, meaning like are there people already offering it? If they are, how can you differentiate your product? In order to get startup funds, startup costs to start launching your business, you have to have a clear path, you need a clear way to identify your customers, but more importantly, you also probably are most likely to have a paying customer. So essentially, typical financing methods won't be available to you because you don't have any collateral. If you're looking for a startup like investors to invest in, then you really need to have at least have proven that you've had some type of experiment to prove that someone's willing to pay for your product or service. And that's exactly what our Idea Factory does. It takes you through that process to make sure that you're not wasting your time or investors' money into doing something that has already been created or launched. So my number one recommendation would be continue to do a lot of customer discovery work. If you have some like proven that it's a market need, come up with a simple way to see if people are willing to pay for it. And then also explore programs like the Idea Factory where you can continue to drill down. Because what we find, a lot of folks have ideas and they end up pivoting to different elements to where the actual need is, and then eventually you can start a great scaling business. Hopefully that's helpful. And I think the first 3 courses of the Entrepreneur Certificate course could also be a great first step.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Addison. Good luck.
I see Mr. Simmons, you have a question?
Yes. How do I put my hand back down? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to go back real quick over just a definition on part of the program that you had before. I believe it was in the very early portions, and you described something as a minimum viable program or minimum viable experiment.
Yeah.
So I have a granola company, and I've been doing it for about 5, 6, 7 years now. And I know that there are other people who are on a one product type thing, or maybe a couple different variations of whatever. And that might be intimidating for some people, because I'm not entirely sure what that would mean as far as discovering a minimum viable product or whatever. Can you go just a little bit more into detail about that?
Sure. What type of product did you say you currently been working? You're working
on?
Granola.
Yes.
Okay. Is that the food? Like
food? Yes, the food. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So that's a great example. So there's 2 types of product. You can have a physical product or you can have a technology product, right? When I say most viable experiment, it's probably more driven towards the technology. Like instead of spending $50,000, $100,000 on creating an app or a tech platform, like how can you build it for $5,000 and really make sure someone would use it first? On the physical product side, I think it's a lot of experimenting to see what hits, right? We had a startup member here called the Together Bar. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but he was part of our incubator for several years, and he made everything at home. And then also was part of that and made it in Hatch Kitchen as he was scaling. Unfortunately, he decided no longer to pursue it because it is a really tough market to get into, and you need to start doing a lot of sampling. So in your case, you want to try as many different types of granola products as you can to see which one hits. But I think branding is also very important. Mission is very important. What are ways that you can get the attention of the customer to hopefully scale your company? So when it comes to a physical product case, I think it's more like finding where your niche is and really diving down in the marketing side on how you spread and developing those relationships with those vendors who are willing to take a shot on your product. So I would say that's when, and I'm sure you've done it since you've been doing it for 5, 6 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing it, right?
Yeah, a lot of these things I've already, but the whole thing is with the reason why I'm taking this, because I would say that I'm a little bit past the beginner. I'm always wanting to learn more. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of what you're saying, I've already blindly bumped my head against those shelves and doors and everything, and have gotten a lot of these answers that you're saying that people need to get. I just didn't know what that terminology meant as far as my business goes. And it is samples and really going out there and experimenting with different things, because I started with 4 flavors. Wow, it's more than 5 years ago. I started in 2009. So it's more than, I started with 4 flavors and now I'm up to 8. And it's just like during that time period, I've come up with 20 to 25, but some of them don't work. Some of the supplies don't. They're not available all the time. And I think that knowing what a minimum viable program or experiment or product is important for us. So I appreciate you.
And congrats to you, man. Like you're scaling. You're doing exactly what investors want to see. Like you're proving that there's a market, and you're proving that people are buying your product. And that is the hardest step to get to. So congrats to you. And if there's anything we can do to help you out, please reach out.
I'll be reaching out. And I have to, and thank you, Patrice, for showing the both programs, because I had only signed up for the first one. So I have to go back on that page and get that second one and get started on that as well.
And have you heard of Hatch Kitchen, Floyd?
Unfortunately, I have. The model didn't really. No, it's not. Nothing against Hatch. Nothing against Hatch. I just feel as though, and there are going to be a lot of food creators that may agree with me. It's more for it's not as cost efficient for new businesses as it should be. So actually, Heather, who's in here as well, knows that part of my vision is to create a true incubator for new food businesses, and hopefully down here in Hopewell to create a space for people that are really just starting out, that are going from their kitchen and trying to get out of the farmers markets and to get into stores and things of that nature. Because Hatch it's a bit cost prohibitive for people that are just starting out. So there are a lot of businesses that drop out for that reason. So, but I've checked them out, and they have it's heaven.
I think that's great feedback, and we'll be sure to pass it along too. I think that's really phenomenal feedback. And if we can help with anything, just please know that we're around, because we can also be helpful to physical products, not only technical.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw some things on there I definitely want to take advantage of. Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. So does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Wintsch? Well, if not, I just want to tell you thank you so much for this time that you shared with us, and then also for the partnership that we have with you. I know that your training program is an excellent one, and we're so excited to be able to offer it for free to the people who have enrolled. And I think that we're really making a positive difference, and your organization is in particular, in really trying to diversify our entrepreneurship ecosystem, and then also just provide access to aspiring entrepreneurs to these really stellar resources. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're very welcome. One last plug. If everyone, I'd highly encourage you guys to follow us on Instagram, it's Startup Virginia in one word, and LinkedIn, just so you can keep in touch with all our program, because a lot of it is community. And if any of you just want to come and work for a day up here, or just please reach out to me directly, and we'll set that up for you guys. Just be part of the community. Now that hopefully we're reaching towards the part of things opening up in the pandemic, more the endemic, one thing that we really want to do is try and rebuild the community founders and get founders to leverage each other to succeed.
Thank you so much, even for that offer. Thank you so much. All right, so I wanted to ask if anyone has any other questions for me, because I know that some of you guys have enrolled in some of our programs and had some questions. And so then if you have those questions, then I'd like you to ask them now, if you would, while we're in this session. And then if you don't have it formulated what you think you might need to ask yet, you can send us an email later. But in case what you ask is useful for everyone, I'd like to answer some of those questions now. Mr. Wintsch, you do not have to feel obligated to stay if you have to. Okay, go on. Does anyone have any other questions for me? Well, one thing I did want to mention to everyone is that we sent out an email to our entire cohort that gave you several different things. One is you had a how-to guide on how you can navigate our website, and then how you can enroll in the Minority Small Business Launch Center. We also sent you guys out some specific instructions on how you can register for each one of the 2 certification programs. And then we also sent you out in that same message, because this is one that I just sent out over the weekend, is you guys also got information on where you can access the event training videos that are on our site. So I'm just going to share my screen with you guys really quickly, just so that I can show you those things. So the training events will be available 3 days after. That's what our goal is, to provide them 3 days after we've actually hosted these events, for those of you guys who are not able to attend all of the training events in person. And so what you're able to do, and let me go ahead and refresh this. I actually think my cache here is making it so it's not showing the most up-to-date event videos page. But what you will be able to do is, I need to make sure that the FTP has been working correctly for us to have this available to you. But all of these event videos have actually been FTP to our server. So I'm going to actually just see what I need to do in order to make sure that you guys can see these training events. but the event videos should now be available to you guys here under event videos. I'll make sure that that happens momentarily as soon as we get off, because I worked on that this weekend with the people that work on our site. So this should be available to you. But all of the events that we had last week should be available to you within the next few minutes right after this session. And then in the future, whenever you guys want to watch even this video or any of the other videos, then you'll be able to access them under event videos. And so it's clearly specified on our site that it's our training video. So I'm actually going to pull up the site so that you guys can see it, so that you know what it will look like. So when you guys look at the site, then you're going to see the event videos. You'll have the welcome message from Senator Kane, then you'll have our kickoff event, but then you'll have all of our cohort training videos, which should be available to you right now. And so right now, our core cohort training videos only include the introduction session that we did last week, the how to develop a business model session that I did with you guys last week, and then the intellectual property protection that we had that was hosted by attorney Cheryl Black. We held it last semester, but it is part of our core cohort training that you have access to and that you need to complete for your certificate of completion. And that is useful for you guys for your training. So just click on event videos. That's all that you'll need to do in order for you to be able to access those videos. They should be available to you now. I'll make sure that they are actually displaying on the site shortly after we get off. And then what you can do in order for you to get the links to attend our videos is that all you need to do is to click on the events, the training events tab. And when you click on the training events tab, then it will actually have the Zoom meeting links for each one of the sessions that we have that are coming up, in addition to some non-core cohort training sessions. You have access to all of our training videos here. Does anyone have any other questions for me? All right, guys. If you don't have any other questions, then I am going to let you guys go. You guys have a wonderful day. Remember, you can find out more information about our programming at minoritysmallbusinesslaunchcenter.com. Our programming is available to everyone that has a small business, whether you're a minority or not. We're happy to assist you, and we're excited about your entrepreneurship journey. Everyone have a great and productive and safe day. Yes.
So before you go, somebody asked a question in the chat about access to the small business counselor.
Oh, yeah. So then what you're able to do, if you guys could just hold for just one moment here. Apologize for that. So we actually have a contractor who's knocking on my door. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that that was happening. I apologize for that during our recorded session. But you will have access to a small business counselor essentially when you need one. If you'd like to send me an email and then ask for that assistance now, then you can. In the future, what we're going to do is we're going to create another request form. We did actually hire a small business counselor who is actually a full-time employee with the Metropolitan Business League that works part-time for us, and that comes into VSU 1 day per week. And that 1 day per week that he is with us, then we will make him available to you. And then what you'll do in the future is you'll request him by going to this request form, and then you'll fill it out just like you do for the chamber membership, for the website, and for a student worker. But for now, just send me an email or send an email to that VSU entrepreneurship email that I sent out to everyone, and then we'll get you connected with him. His name is Mr. Hal Miles. I think he'd be a really valuable resource for those of you who need some assistance. Any other questions? All right, everyone. Well, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.